Is it okay for Auckland University to offer jobs to Māori only? Non-Māori need not apply. This is what's happening. Can you exclude people based on race? Also, she lost half her body weight by taking a punt on getting surgery in Mexico. Does it work? Let's go. Welcome to the program.
Are we paying these people to front up, or are we paying them to fly to Wellington to eat their lunch? Should you really lose your career for refusing to take part in a 90-minute lesson about Māori culture? This government doesn't actually have any idea how to get economic growth. Show us what you made of, Prime Minister.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan, Garner.
Okay, you're with the Editor-in-Chief. Welcome along. Evening, everybody. I'm Duncan, Garner, and please subscribe. Helps us stay around. I always say that, don't I? But I mean it. Tonight, we know it's not easy to get a job right now, but if you're non-Māori and want a job at Auckland University, you're being told, please don't apply. These jobs are for Māori only. It's called positive discrimination, where you are hired because of your race. Around the world, this has been controversial somewhat. Critics arguing it's racism and no longer necessary. Others argue it's crucial, so minorities don't miss out. Also, Vanessa Taylor travelled to Mexico 2 years ago to get a life-saving surgery. She was obese, morbidly obese, wanted to change her life. She will join us very, very shortly. Let's go.
It's the Slam Dunk.
Okay, so Auckland University is offering students who are graduating or graduated academic jobs within the university for next year. With a tight employment market, it sure becomes pretty attractive to have these jobs on offer rather than try the tight employment market right now, which is almost impossible. The jobs pay close to $70,000 initially. It goes up. You get 5 weeks paid leave, option to buy another week's leave, and a generous superannuation scheme. Let me read you some of the advertisement. We're calling out to University of Auckland Māori final year students and recent Māori graduates to join us on the 2026 Māori graduate program to explore and build a career in a number of exciting professional pathways at the university. Wai Papatou Matarau, the University of Auckland, is one of the largest employers in New Zealand, and we can offer graduates a chance to access skills, approaches, challenges, all these sorts of things that they simply wouldn't get elsewhere. It's a 12-month rotational program, gives graduates the opportunity to explore different areas and career paths while acquiring a range of skills. So it's like a sort of a midpoint of going from your education into a job, and they'll pay you for it. They'll pay you almost 70 grand to do this in all sorts of areas: IT, communications, comms, marketing, human resources, all sorts of areas like that. You will get the job: property, construction, facilities management. On this unique program, you'll gain hands-on experience from day one, developing a place for you to stand as a Māori professional and the skills to navigate your career journey. All the while, you'll be growing workplace skills as well as all those important soft skills like comms and relationship building, workload management, and more. This program offers a starting salary of $68,101 with an increase during the program, a supportive yet flexible program to develop all your skills that will serve you throughout your career and tailored to your own career aspirations and interests. So the 12-month program with a permanent position from day one, a high level of support throughout the program. You'll have dedicated teachers, kaimahi, Māori teachers, to support you and mentor you. There'll be career development programs as well as a number of skill development, career development type programs, self-exploration sessions centred into all Māori perspectives, and an opportunity to deepen your connection with your people, your whenua and your reo through the program. Although you don't have to speak to reo Māori, that's not an issue. In addition, the University of Auckland is committed to providing an excellent working environment. So you have flexible employment practices, work-life balance, 37.5 hours per week for that money. Competitive salary, 5 weeks annual leave, as I said. Sounds pretty good. So who can apply? Well, here's the trick. You will have graduated in the last 2 years or be about to graduate with a bachelor's degree or higher. Your most recent degree qualification, it must have come from Auckland University, and you must have finished your studies by the time the program starts next year. You will be whakapapa Māori, or you'll be of Māori descent. You needn't apply if you can't prove that. This could get tricky. You'll be confident in taking the initiative and working collaboratively, but you must be Māori. You must be able to show that you are Māori and your history is Māori and you can whakapapa Māori. You'll be handed real responsibility, expected to get stuck in, but support will be there when you need it. You'll be curious to develop your cultural developments and your skills. Fluency in te reo is not a must at all, but a willingness to grow yourself as a Māori staff member will be offered. Pākehā, Asian, anyone non-Māori need not apply. I guess you've got to prove that you're whakapapa Māori. Could get tricky, couldn't it? It worries me advertising for one race only. It divides us. Māori don't need to be patronised in this way continually, do they? They can stand on their own 2 feet now. It gets people's backs up. It shuts out every other Kiwi. No matter how long your family's been here in New Zealand, this is a Māori-only employment program. I think it's dangerous. It leads us down a path that will destroy us, ultimately. Is it legal? I went to the Human Rights Commission. Pretty much it is. They said it's also known as affirmative action, positive discrimination and recruitment, the act of favouring a candidate based on a prohibited ground of discrimination. So the Act of 1993 outlines a number of prohibited grounds of discrimination, so you can't do it on sex, ethnicity and gender. In most cases, employers cannot make a recruitment decision based on one of those areas. However, there is a limited carve-out of the law that employers can take certain measures to ensure equality in their workplace. So discrimination that would otherwise be unlawful is allowed if it's done in good faith and for the purposes of assisting individuals or groups with a characteristic pertaining to a prohibited ground of discrimination. So that's like Māori. The individuals or groups in question may need assistance in order to achieve an equal place with other members of the community. So that's how it's allowed. Since the enactment of this law in 93, New Zealand has seen positive discrimination used extensively to implement non-employment related initiatives. Like the New Zealand Medical Association announced their new position statement in support of affirmative action selection policies with respect to the New Zealand Medical School. So Māori can get in with lower grades. While these non-employment related initiatives are increasingly common in New Zealand, the use of positive discrimination in hiring and in jobs has been significantly more limited. And the jury's out, says the Human Rights Commission, as to whether positive discrimination is even necessary to ensure equality in New Zealand's workplace. The government says it's about merit, not positive discrimination, but and that's the way to go, they say. So it's rare. But seemingly, Auckland University has found a way to get around it and get away with it, and they will. They believe they can get away with it under that very limited bit of law, and they will. For me, I think excluding people based on race is really wrong in this country, and it's just going to lead us down a path of ultimately destruction, in my view.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.
Right, Vanessa Taylor in November 2023 underwent surgery abroad in Mexico. She was massively overweight, needed help. She's morbidly obese. She says it's changed her life. She's lost half her body weight. The benefits have been massive. So why Mexico? What she learned there, and many Kiwis are now looking abroad as New Zealand's system is overwhelmed by people being turned away for this sort of surgery. She was turned down by the public system here in New Zealand. So, and she says she went and saw a surgeon. It was a disaster. So then she ends up in Mexico. Vanessa, g'day. Nice to have you on the program.
Thank you. Hello.
Take me back to a few years ago. How much did you weigh, if you don't mind me asking, and what sort of situation were you in?
Okay. 2023, September, I made a life-changing decision. I was 115 kilos, thereabouts. I'm only small. I'm just over 5 foot. And my BMI was 49 point something. So I was a very big woman at that point. And
Yes.
I came into some money from my father, unfortunately, from my grandmother passing away. And I wanted to use that money wisely. So I decided on bariatric surgery.
And did you try to get it here in New Zealand?
I did. I went to see my GP first. I'd already talked to her some months earlier about the chances of having that surgery here in New Zealand. And she said I didn't have enough comorbidities, is what they call them, the likes of diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, that type of thing, even though, I was morbidly obese is what my classification was. But because I didn't have all of those things at that time, she said I just wouldn't even be looked at. So it was pointless.
You think you would be though? I mean, you ticked enough boxes, quite frankly, didn't you? I mean, you felt like you were probably dying at that weight and had height and everything. It seems ridiculous that you didn't trigger any sort of response here in New Zealand.
Well, it does really. I mean, clothes-wise, people might relate better to the size of clothes. I was a size 24, 26. And right. And so just looking at me, I definitely looked overweight. And as a food and nutrition teacher, I just felt, it wasn't right. I know exactly what I should have been eating. I just didn't seem able to control a lot of the eating. And whether you put that down to emotional eating or lifestyle, what we're surrounded by, in our lives now, probably a culmination and combination of all of those things, to be honest.
Yeah, so you were a food and nutrition teacher, and still are, and you were 115 kegs, and you were doing all the wrong things. It sort of goes to the heart of your credibility as a food and nutrition teacher, I suppose, didn't it? I mean, it would have been jarring for you.
Yeah, and it was, and that's another reason why I went through with this, because, it is a passion of mine, and I did feel like a fraud when I was teaching the students about healthy eating. Here I am, massively overweight, trying to teach our teenagers about eating healthy. And, I mean, it goes without saying, doesn't it? There's something wrong there. So I had to do something drastic, and this was the answer for me.
And so you were turned down here in New Zealand, and what made you look at Mexico? Because I mean, when you told me that you'd been to Mexico, I thought, that's an unusual choice of locational destination for this, or is it? So what made you settle on Mexico?
Well, I had actually been to see a surgeon here first, privately, because that's what my GP had recommended. And when I investigated that further, you have to take the day off. Cost me $400 just for the appointment for the surgeon here in Wellington. And when I got there, he actually told me that he wouldn't do the operation that I had requested he do. So I thought, that's a bit strange in itself. I paid $400, taken the day off, driven down here, and you're now telling me you won't do this surgery. He said, I can refer you on to somebody that will do the surgery. I was just so frustrated. He was more interested in talking about his next holiday, to be honest. So that just annoyed me. And it was my husband who actually found an article in the press about somebody else that had gone over to Mexico. And so I started looking, and obviously I was apprehensive. And like most people, you're thinking to yourself, what's it going to be like? Dirty? Are they going to take a kidney from me? Which is definitely what I was thinking. So I looked and looked and looked and researched and looked for all these negative things, but none of them came up. I'm sure there are some clinics out there in Mexico where there's been negative things reported, but I chose one. I went to Mexico Bariatric Center. And what a wonderful place it was. First of all, I was impressed by their website. The amount of information that was on the website was just unreal. And the caliber of the surgeons also impressed me. I did look at a few other countries, but there was too many bad things about Thailand. And the journey time to Turkey, that was another option. My in-laws had lived in Turkey for a long time, and I know a lot about the corruption and things that go on in Turkey, and that had also put me off Turkey. And Mexico, it's a good travel time. It's only 12 hours flight across to America, and they picked you up from the airport. Everything was arranged, so I just had to book my flight, go across. I was collected by the drivers there. They drove me to the hospital, did some blood tests. I was put into a hotel for that evening, and then I stayed 4 nights at their hospital. And what a friendly bunch of people there were. Just
whereabouts in Mexico was this?
This is Tijuana.
Oh, I've been there.
We think of Tijuana as the drug city, don't we? That's because that's what we're used to on the TV programs. Yeah. And it was a very busy place. And, but I didn't see anything anything negative related while I was there. Nothing happened to me. We were accompanied anywhere that we went as well. We were taken from the hotel to the hospital. There was always somebody with us. I didn't have a negative experience. I found it great.
You could have easily thought, Tijuana, the border town up against America there, so this is just a scam. You could have easily thought my money's going down the drain. I mean, it would have been okay to think like that too. But you have had a remarkable transformation through these guys and the doctors and everything. So you did 4 days there. And so what happened? So what was the surgery like?
The surgery itself, now I did have a little bit of an issue, but that was because I found out I was allergic to one of the medications after the surgery. And that obviously would have happened anywhere. So that was a little bit of an issue. But yeah, like I say, once I got over that, the actual surgery, I don't know what I was expecting, it's an unknown really. But it does, like when you wake up, when you come round, you are aching, it's major surgery that you've had.
Sure.
We talk about the gas, because gas is pumped into you so that you, or the surgeon rather, has better access to your organs. He's doing a lot of work in there. And it's this gas that causes most of the pain after the surgery. And so they encourage you to get up as soon as you can after the surgery, when you're a bit more compos mentis. You start walking around. And during that walking around in the hospital, along the corridors, you meet other people who've had the surgery. So they specialise in this bariatric surgery. They're double board certified, which means that they are specialists in their game.
Yeah.
And so
what did it cost?
Pardon?
What did it cost?
The cost would have cost me $30,000 here. And it cost me $10,000 there, including the flights.
Wow.
Yeah, a third of the cost,
And you've had no complications since. How much do you weigh now?
Now I got on the scales the other day and it was the lowest I'd ever been, was 57.9 kgs.
You've lost half your weight.
I have, yes, yeah.
And how life-changing has it been?
Oh, from being a teacher before and a food and nutrition teacher, we do practical lessons. You're on your feet a lot, it's not the type of teaching where you're sat at a desk. And at the end of the day, my feet, my joints, everything would be aching. And now I'm just constantly on the go. People comment on it all the time. I'm a little bit of a workaholic in a way. I'm always wanting to do something. So it's really changed my life because I just enjoy life more, for a start. There's none of the aching joints that you get from being overweight. I'm able to go out and do more, experience more. Just everything has changed. It's just, I feel like I'm living and enjoying my life now where I was just existing before, if that makes sense.
Struggling. Yeah, no, I get it. And so you can get out there, you walk more, you do more exercise. What about your food? What sort of intake is that? Or how has that changed? How's your diet changed?
Well, I eat exactly the same foods apart from less carbohydrates. So I still eat complex carbohydrates, but less of the simple rubbishy carbohydrates. But it's the quantities that have changed massively. So there's different types of bariatric surgery. I don't know if you know much about it, but mine was called the Roux-en-Y bypass. Most people are having a sleeve that go from here, not just go from here, but have them here as well. Most people have a sleeve as their first port of call, but it all depends on how overweight you are and what your age is and a few other things as well. But I had the Roux-en-Y bypass, which just gives you a small pouch, they call it. So they take away most of the stomach and they also reroute the intestine. So there's a malabsorption side to it as well. So some people might say to you, well, you're on vitamins for the rest of your life. Well, actually, I am going to be on vitamins for the rest of my life, but it's better than being on all of these statins and other medications that I might have actually been on for the rest of my life. It's better than having a heart attack and having diabetes.
You're going to live longer.
Yeah, and I'm going to be living longer as well. Yeah.
Yeah, good on you. And so, when you had the operation, did you immediately drop weight, or how did it work? Because you're basically eating less now, aren't you? You're having much smaller portions, your stomach's smaller, and so you feel full quicker. Has it just dropped over the 2 years, or did it immediately drop, or how did it work?
Well, there's a pre-op diet because you have to eat less carbs to start with before you actually go in for the surgery, so that it gives the surgeons access to your stomach a lot easier and your liver's out of the way, basically. So I lost a few kilos with the pre-op diet. And so when I actually had the surgery, I was something like 110 kilos. So I dropped like 4 or 5 kilos. And then it's a liquid only diet for a week or two, which you think is actually going to be really hard, but I didn't find it that hard. It was easier than I thought it was going to be. And so most of my weight came off within that first 3 to 6 months, I would say. And certainly by the time a year rolled round, I would say, I think I was in maybe about 65 kilos at that point. And so those last few kilos have come off in the last 6 months. Yeah, so majority is the first 6 months after the operation.
People must, when they run into you and they see you, they probably barely recognise you. You must get some huge reactions.
I do. Yeah, I definitely do. It's been interesting from my students' point of view, I guess, seeing the changes in me, but just the staff as well. A lot of staff have asked, what have you done, to look so incredible? And a few staff and a few friends have also gone down the same route and had similar surgery. So I've inspired a few others. And that's ultimately what I would like to do. I want people to know there's another option available to you. Yeah. You don't have to settle for being like this for the rest of your life. I just wish somebody had pointed this option out to me a lot earlier, because it has been so life-changing. You don't have to afford the 30,000 here in New Zealand. There is another option. But also as well. That's a whole nother discussion. Do you want me to briefly mention how they're doing that?
Yeah, so just to briefly do that, but see, $30,000 is a barrier to people, but $10,000 is doable. $10,000, if it changes your life like it has, it's doable.
Yeah, well, that's right. Some people are just taking out a loan, or they're putting it on top of their mortgage. But for some people, even that, isn't doable. But a lot of people do have a few thousand in their KiwiSaver, and they're accessing that under the hardship fund. So if you can prove that your GP supports you having this operation, and if you can prove that you've applied for a loan and you've been turned down, then you can go to your KiwiSaver provider and apply under the hardship fund, and say, this is going to change my life. This is going to give me extra 10 years. Yeah. So, and it's your money. You've earned it. You've put it there. Why shouldn't you be able to access it?
I agree entirely. And what does your husband think?
Well, he thinks he's got a whole new wife these days. Yeah. The difference in me is remarkable. Yeah, it really is. We should have maybe got him on. He could have given his opinion.
Yeah, but you've probably had to go and buy all new clothes. You would have had to check out all your clothes, which is just a delight to do, I suppose.
Yeah, that's been really nice. For the first few months, you still wear your clothes and they become baggy. But I did a lot of op shopping, so that I wasn't spending too much. I love op shopping anyway. And then it wasn't until I got down to where I thought I was going to settle, that I started to buy a few new clothes, brand new clothes. Yeah. And now I can fit in a size 8 dress, from a 24 to a 26 down to a size 8 dress. It's just, it's been amazing. I look at myself in the mirror some days and I just think, wow, Look at that
I know,
waist.
is this me? Hey, can you give me maybe your just give out your email address if you want to, because people watching this might want to get in touch with you because it's such a great recommendation, personal recommendation. It's not a scam, because people will be worried about going overseas to do something like this. So can you give you? Are you all right giving out your email address? Yep.
Yep. So my email address is Vanessa, VANESSA, at Mexico Bariatric Center, but it's center with the American spelling. They change all of their words, don't they? So that's TER.com at the end. So Vanessa at MexicoBariatricCenter.com, because I am doing a little bit of work for them now. So on a weekend, anybody that wants to know any information, anybody from New Zealand, they're sending me their applications and I'm helping them make that decision whether to go or not. There's no pressure.
Yeah.
And that's also what I like about this company, that also taking groups over. Couple of times a year, I'm going to go over those people that don't have anybody to accompany them across. Some people will take their husbands, wives, but some people have no one, and it is, or can be frightening, to go to another country and you don't know where you're going and you're not sure who you're meeting. So I am taking small groups over as well.
Yeah, it's comforting. It's comforting knowing that you're leading the pack, been there, done that. And that gives people huge faith, I reckon. I'm going to leave it there because you got to head to class shortly too, and you've been brilliant. Stunning transformation, and I'm so glad I met you, and I'm so glad you got hold of me too, because this will go down really well. I think people will be interested in this.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
Vanessa.
so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
All the very
Cheers.
best. Eh?
Have a
Take
wonderful
care.
day.
You look brilliant. Well done.
Thank you. Bye.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.
Right, Vanessa Taylor, what a story. And she saved her own life. Isn't it amazing, Isaac? Half your body
it's
weight.
pretty cool.
Isn't it?
I know, in 2 years. That's insane.
5 foot, 115 kgs, and she was a health and nutrition teacher. It must have been grappling with it every day.
Yeah, totally.
Good on her.
Yeah, no,
good on her. She took the initiative.
Yeah, good on
she
her.
took a risk.
Took a bit of a risk, stepped out, but I mean, she said 10 grand, including flights.
Nothing, eh? And it's 30 grand here and you get turned away. Anyway, let's do some letters to the editor.
Yeah, so we got 2 here for you today. This first one, not sure who it's from, but it says, Dear Duncan, I don't agree with co-governance, but the treaty did agree that Māori own everything except what they sell, and they never sold the lake beds. So charging to use their lake beds for commercial use is fair. This is, of course, why they're now going after foreshore. Take care.
Yeah, that's from Tim. Yeah, Tim Alley. Yeah, well, that's exactly what they're doing. Full and final settlements, as I said last night, are not full and final. Foreshore and seabed legislation has been overturned, and this they're allowed to do this. You would too if you're Māori, but I worry about our future. Anyway, another one there.
Yeah, this one here from Michael. It says, Hi Duncan, a Māori student going for a medical degree or chemist degree with any Māori blood in his or her veins has only to get a pass rate of 72% for the next 6 years to get a full pass, while all other races must get 92% to get the same medical degree. This has been going on for the last 40 years. I knew a person on the New Zealand Medical Selection Council many years ago, and Māori students get first priority on the selection. Best regards, Michael.
Yeah, and the Human Rights Commission's confirmed that too, about the positive discrimination and that. Which doctor would you want to see, the 92% or the 72%?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question. I mean, it's something that doesn't just happen in medical as well, like the Auckland University psychology department. They have, for their PhD and postgraduate things, or one of the two, they have, I think it's like 16 students out of the entire cohort get through to this like PhD stage after doing 5 years of initial initial studies. And I'm pretty sure I have the numbers right, but 8 of those positions, so 50%, are reserved for Māori and Pacifica students, which is obviously they're trying to fill a need in the workforce in that sense, but it does really kind of because that's 50% of these psychology people. Like they often start with like 3,000 people doing their bachelors. It gets whittled down over time, obviously, but down to 16, and half of that is reserved for Māori and Pacifica. That's pretty crazy. It is. It's hugely questionable. And but there's this stuff. The more I talk about the stuff and reveal the stuff, the more leads and links and emails that come into the inbox. It's just quite remarkable. There's been a culture of this throughout New Zealand, I reckon. Anyway, that is us. Thanks for your feedback and your support. Get in touch through our social media. Duncan Garner Podcast on TikTok, Instagram. Flick us an email, Duncan@Rover. Always like to get your emails. Isaac, thank you, bro. We'll do this again tomorrow. Good info there too. Remember, life's no dress rehearsal, no curtain raiser. This is it. We live in one of the best places on earth, so get out and enjoy this bloody country. Yeah, have a great day and a great evening. Take care. Ta-da.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.